being broken, and we make an intervention, and then the phones start to ring off the hook in various places, and senior officers get phone calls from persons across the divide in the country that says, he's a good, upstanding citizen, he's just running a business, and he's put a little speaker outside to sort of attract people to come in and shop. But it's against the law. The law. It's a nuisance to other people, and it's an offense, and it's against the law. The point I'm making is it's always a delicate thing. And so I'm hoping our people listening to us having this conversation will come to the point of understanding that they must bear some responsibility for what we must do. You can't ask us to do it and then complain when we do it. You see?
Just do it over here.
Yeah, and so we will do it, and we won't make any excuses for it. And again, we will do it respectfully, firmly, but respectfully.
Okay.
But in 2010, yes, we're ratcheting it up, and you will see that happening.
Okay.
We're not going to allow people to continue to ride around on trail motorcycles and prance all over the place with no helmets. And the mufflers, they take these little pieces out in the noise, music blaring 3, 4 o'clock in the morning in residential areas where people can't rest properly. You know, people breaking bottles in the streets, and just a free-for-all. It just gives you this sense of disorder. And I think the average person has had enough of that. But I'm saying we're going to have to be together on this one. We are more than willing to do our jobs, but we need the support of the Bahamian people to do it.
Commissioner, I want to pick up on two things, two words you threw out in that response. One is the idea of respect. The specific question, how will you ensure the respecting of basic human rights while carrying out, in many instances, some incredible, or finding your officers finding themselves some incredibly risky, even life-saving, life-threatening, rather, situations. How is that officer going to be able to, in that mode, still remember to be respectful of the basic human rights of the individual? Are we talking training here? Are we
Definitely.
talking professionalism?
We're speaking a combination of things. We're discussing training, and yes, we're discussing professionalism. Note the way we started our discussion in our plan. The very first priority is taking care of our people. Our people meaning all of the people in our organization and all of our people in the communities that we serve. And so we say we want them to be well selected, we want them to be well trained, well equipped, well deployed, well cared for and respected, and well led. And I believe if we start to get that right, if we start working on that right now, the next intake of officers next week, day one, then that training makes a difference. Dr. Wisdom, when I went through the training academy, the initial part of that training program was extremely difficult. Not just for me, but many of our colleagues, all of our colleagues, I dare say, because the instructors made it uncomfortable for you to get a reaction. And they said to us at the back end of it, I need to stress you. I need to test you. They didn't say it right up front, so we took them very seriously. But at the end of the day, if a person was being difficult, I wouldn't just react to it because I was properly trained. A lot has to be said about training. And then beyond that, we have policies and procedures for the good governance of the organization. And we painstakingly flesh those out and make them available to the wider force. And we hold our officers to it. The whole business of ethics and good governance and procedural things, all in policies and procedures. And where officers are in breach, they're dealt with. And so I'm telling you, the average police officer, well trained, understands how to respond.
We've talked a little about the force itself, the organization. I want to jump now to questions or the feeling that I think many of our viewers may be having right now in this moment. Commissioner, how are you going to deal with the community's fear of crime, this crippling feeling that it's out of the control and no one can help me? How are you dealing with the fear, the community's fear of crime?
Again, in our plan, we speak clearly to it right up front, Dr. Wisdom, the whole business of reducing crime, enhance public safety. And one of the ways of doing that is greater police visibility. The public must see their police officers in their neighborhoods, on the main streets, in their shopping centers, and wherever crowds are. That goes a long way. Visible, properly attired, alert, and willing to serve. The public expects to see their patrol cars moving around with good-looking, alert officers, and good-looking, I mean healthy-bodied police officers, male and female, yes, alert and paying attention and patrolling in a directed fashion, not just willy-nilly on a cell phone laughing and talking. We see those terrible examples. We're saying directed patrols, patrolling with a purpose.
And if I could just stop you for a second, Commissioner, we know this. This is proven, yes, that the public research shows if the public sees this kind of thing, there's a reduction in fear. We
absolutely,
know
absolutely, absolutely. And then, too, there's a lot more that go into Dr. Wisdom. The work that you do is tremendously important. The work that all of their colleagues in media perform is very important. Let me give you a classic. We speak now to this business of a perception reality matrix, right? You take a little old lady sitting in a quiet family island. Let's pick one, Cat Island. And she usually sits on her porch, enjoying the cool breeze from the ocean. And now she's changed her way of life because she's been listening to the talk shows. She's been reading the news reports. Her family members send her the newspapers on the mailboat. And now she's no longer on the porch. But we have absolutely no crime occurring in Cat Island. It's still a beautiful place, very peaceful. But it's that perception that something has gone wrong. And if you were to engage her, she'll say, did you hear of what happened just yesterday? And she'll speak about what is happening in Nassau as if it is happening right in her backyard. And now she would change her way of life. We adversely impact her quality of life. What is required then, and we're back to what should we do, is for the officers in that environment, sensing that type of stuff, to visit that little old lady and to say, let's have a chat. Okay. Just came by to say hello. I'm your friendly police officer. Call me whatever you wish, neighborhood, community, whatever. Every police officer, a little wave and a hello to assure her that it's safe here, okay, we have no problems, and we're taking care of the issues in New Providence. I hasten also to tell you, the public is reassured when they see results. A crime is committed, it is reported, there is swift police action, there's an intervention, they see it. Good. Is also reassuring. Understood. And so any combination of factors go into that mix to reassure our public. I believe it's important for us to get out more. I'm hearing now that the public would wish to see more of us in khaki, not just the, as we say, red stripes, yes, people at the low end. Yes. The public would wish to see more of us. And so I'm not averse to that. I'm more than happy to get about in communities. So does the Deputy Commissioner and other members of EMT, okay, and indeed other senior officers. And I'm hoping across, certainly for the next few months of 2010, we'll see a heightened visibility by all officers, okay, mobile and on foot.
Okay. Commissioner, the second point I wanted to go to, and moving right from this idea of lowering the fear of crime. And here's the big one, and I think many people want to, but are just wondering how. And it speaks to witness protection. But I'm also talking about just coming forward. How? From your mouth to their ears, representing this great organization, how can Bahamians, the basic Bahamian citizen, truly help the police on a daily basis or at a point when they come across some information and feel safe about doing it?
I say simply take your pick. Thousands of sworn police officers across the organization, including the commissioner and all of the senior brass. Something comes to your attention, by goodness, there must be one of us that you can talk to. Okay. Take a chance on us. Okay. You know, I've given my whole life in the service of this country. This is all I know. My executive management team, I can name them all. The public is well aware of who they are. All of our commanding officers, you see many of them on television, you hear them on a daily basis. This is all we do. And we have not betrayed your trust. You have to be able to talk to us. So we're not saying that you should arbitrarily. I'd like to see us get to that point. I certainly would like, but we're in a real world here. And we're not going to flim-flam the public. What we're saying is it would be nice to have this utopian society. We don't have that. But you have to be able to trust someone. And it's as simple as this, Dr. Wisdom. So let's assume you trust no one. Well, can you go to a typewriter and write an anonymous note, fold it over, and maybe just drop it in a place for someone to pick it up? You open it and, there's the good information. Well, we need not call you to see who you are or to determine who you are or where you live. We simply action the intelligence or the information that you've given us. The other thing is, we speak to this business of witness protection. I really don't want people out there panicking about this.
First of all, Commissioner, what do you see as police witness protection? In your mind, what does that mean?
Well, not just in my mind. It's a very simple issue. It simply says that you've got a person who is at some point going to be called before a court of law to tender some evidence or to give some information as to what he or she would have seen or knows. That is material to a case in point. And that person is fearful, or there is a distinct threat of harm toward that person that could even lead to death. And that person now needs to be incubated and must be taken into some protective custody and chaperoned constantly until the threat has abated. That, in its strict sense, very, very, very expensive undertaking and a very complicated thing. And particularly in a small community like ours, where everybody knows everybody.
Literally.
But, we shouldn't have to come to that. And I know this is going to really sound strange, because again, I believe that if we do our jobs right the first time, and we all, listen to me carefully, if we all play our roles effectively in public safety, then that becomes a non-issue. You see? Yeah. Because if a person commits an offense and is arrested for a serious offense, due process, properly charged before a court of law, and incarcerated, that person should be no further threat to the community. If that person is still a further threat to the community, then you're alert enough to understand that I'm telling you, now we need to have another conversation. You see?
Okay. There's a certain responsibility in just being a Bahamian citizen.
Yes, absolutely. And I wanted to talk to that. Certainly. I was anxious to speak to that when you asked the question initially. You see,